Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another interview on Southern Cross Combat. I'm your host, Joel Rasmussen, and today we are talking to a man before he fights in the second Road to UFC bout, the semi-final Road to UFC bout. We are talking to Mr. Dom Marfan, training out of Team Compton's in Queensland. It's always great to talk to Dom. Dom was very nice enough to give me some of his time before he shipped off to Shanghai. He's over there now, if I'm not mistaken. But it was great to talk to Dom. Dom, lightweight gentleman who has put together some very impressive wins, got a very impressive career. He's fighting, as I mentioned, out of the great Comptons in Queensland. It was really great to talk to Dom. We talked about the last fight. He beat the number one seed, and we go on about that in the interview. We talk about what that was like, because I didn't realize that his last opponent, Yuji, was the number one seed. So we talk about that. We talk about his kind of confidence heading in and self-belief as a fighter. We talk about this upcoming fight, about how apparently there's been a little bit of friction between him and his upcoming opponent that he was aware of, but he doesn't really know what's going on because the opponent speaks Korean and not English. And so he's kind of he's pieced together some things and thinks there's some beef, which we'll talk about in the interview. We talk about the last time he went to China, because he hung out for a few days afterwards. He got his black belt. We talked about not in China. He didn't get his black belt in China. We talk about all different stuff. It's always great talking to Dom. I really appreciate him giving me the time. He fights as the day this interview comes out this week. He fights on Friday via the UFC Fight Pass. That's where you can watch that. If you like it, please like, comment, and subscribe. And without further ado, here's my interview with the Street Buddha, Dom Marfan. G'day, it's Joel Rasmussen from Southern Cross Combat, and ahead of his second fight on this season of the Road to UFC, I'm talking to Mr. Dom Marfan. Dom, thank you very much for the time. How are you today, my friend?
I'm going great, bro.
It's awesome to have you. It's good to be talking to you again. How are you this fine Saturday?
I'm going good, man. Body's feeling good. I'm feeling that excitement start to build. It's getting closer to the fight, so yeah, I'm ready to go.
It is. We are itching closer to the fight. We were talking just a little bit before we started there about it, but I don't often do interviews on weekends because in my head, everyone trains Monday through Friday and then they get that opportunity to rest. Are you often working on weekends? You were telling me before you were doing some training today.
Yeah, I like to do most of my PTing on Saturdays. In camp, that being said, I kind of reduce everything down, so I'm not doing a whole bunch of PTs. Um, but it kind of works out better doing it on doing the interview on the Saturday, just because if I'm too rooted from training, I think I think I'll sound like even more of an idiot than I already do. So yeah, better for the weekends.
No, you never sound like an idiot, Dom. It's always good to chat with you. New location. The last time we chatted, I think you were just at the gym. You're at Compton's in the office there. Where are you coming to me from today?
Just from my house, bro.
This the office,
Yes, it's the office.
the
Yeah.
official. What kind of office work gets done? What are you doing in the office typically?
I do a little bit of study. I like to have set locations that I do my like study, like in terms of like martial arts study. If I'm watching instructionals or doing any tape study, um, I'm not very effective if it's like if I'm sitting on the couch to do it, for an example. Yeah, so I definitely like to take it to another room.
What type of tape are you? What will tape of opponents? But what type of like instructionals have you been watching recently?
In this part of the camp, I try to really limit it. Earlier in the camp, um, I was doing a little bit of a Marab study, going back, watching all of his fights, watching his approach to how he wrestles, how he kind of chooses to enter in on takedowns. And I found it really interesting. So yeah.
Uh, do you ever go? How often do you watch your own fights?
Uh, I watch my own fights sometimes for specific reasons. I'm not watching it super regularly. Uh, But when I do watch it, a lot of the time it'll be maybe I've had like a bad training session and I've kind of like I've gotten too fixated on that training session in thinking that like, oh, I performed bad in this training session. What if it means I'll perform bad in a fight? But then I'll go back and I'll watch some fights where I know I felt like that in training sessions where I've had poor training sessions and then I've gone in and I've performed well in a fight. And it kind of reminds me that like, no, I know how to turn up when I need to on fight night.
How often, or have you watched your last fight, your last road to UFC fight?
I have. I watched it. Yeah, I've watched it a few times. Yeah, that was kind of like an interesting one. Kind of like bittersweet for me because I definitely feel like I should have been able to finish that guy. I thought I was going to finish him in the second round there. Um, but I was pretty stoked to like be the that big of an underdog on the betting and stuff and to be able to like kind of cause an upset and ruin a whole bunch of people's multis that bet against me. That made me happy.
Did you get any messages from people?
I actually got messages from people that did bet on me, and they were saying thank you, and they were really appreciative because apparently I boosted their multi up pretty high. But I also looked on the Tapology threads for the whole event for Road to UFC, and it's kind of like you can read all the comments in chronological order, like, and people are like commenting on it as the event is happening. And it's funny, like, there was some dude there that he had bet every fight right up until mine, and I knew it was about to go wrong for him because I read it after the fact. And I can see him going, man, like, should I pull out of this multi? Like, nah, screw it, I'm gonna stay in. What's the chance that this UG guy loses? And then like immediately after, I had him crashing out. So I thought it was pretty funny. It was enjoyable.
Before we talk about the upcoming fight, I want to talk about the road, the first one against Yuji. Cause I didn't realize any of that. Like I didn't know that that guy was the number one seed. I saw until you made that Instagram post where I was proudly part of the 5% that picked Don Fan.
Yeah,
Proudly
yeah,
part of the 5%.
nice.
But did you know, like, do you pay attention to that stuff pre-fight? Did you know you were as big as an underdog as you were?
Yeah, well, a little bit. So I knew the guy's record was 11-0 going into it, and I kind of had a look at his record, and there were a lot of fighters that he had fought with like big records, but like even records, but none. There weren't a lot of bums that he beat to get that record. So I knew he was very, very good. And I did kind of look at the other fighters that were in the tournament, and I was like, oh man, no one else has a record like this guy. Like they have definitely given me the number one seed. Um, but I, for the most part, tried to stay away from watching any like previews of the fight, watching any like I didn't go on Tapology to like have a look at what people were saying or like who was expected to win until after the fight because I didn't want to let that get in my head too much. I already knew that people were going to think that he was going to be the winner. But I kind of let myself indulge in that after the fight, and I went back. I looked at just about everything, every YouTube video made on it, um, every comment made on me on Tapology, and I kind of I like being able to use that as a little bit of power for like any future fights. You know, like any time that someone says, "Hey, like Dom's not going to win this. Like this guy's going to destroy Dom." It's like, hey, I remember a time when I look back and I know just about everyone thought that UG was going to win that, and I created a big upset. So I'm very glad it happened.
I wanted to ask about that because you're a guy who I always love seeing. You're always lovely to chat to. It's always a laugh. It's always a good time. But and there's nothing wrong with it, needing that switch to turn on and go out there. Are you a man who kind of needs a chip on his shoulder?
Um, I don't. I definitely don't need a chip on my shoulder. I've fought well without that, but it definitely helps. It definitely helps when I've got a bit of a point to go out and prove. And it excites you in the training room, you know, like it's that feeling between nervousness and excitement. Like this guy was 11-0, and it was like there was pretty much no footage out on him losing like at all. You know, like there was no like, oh, he was getting dominated up until this point, but then scored a like cool victory. Um, there wasn't him getting ragdolled on the ground. There wasn't him getting dominated in the striking. There was no footage of him getting like consistently beat up. So I knew I had to be the first one to do it, and that was really cool. That was something that kind of gives you that butterfly feeling in your stomach in the training room, but makes you push that a little bit harder. And it was good for me.
Now he's 11 and Dom, dude.
Yeah, yeah. I'm very happy about that. And I'm happy that I cut him twice. I want him to think of me every time he looks at that scar in the mirror. You know?
See, this is what I mean. You're such like a happy dude, but that was truly horrifying.
Yeah, yeah. I take enjoyment out of those moments for sure.
um, you mentioned earlier when you were talking about it, you're a guy who fights to finish. We talked about that last time. Anyone who knows you knows that. And you said, you really wish you could have finished him, but you kind of touched on it there. Outside of wanting the finish, did that fight go how you kind of expected it to? Because I'm gonna use the B word. I think I used it last time I spoke to you. You butchered that guy. Like you cut him up, you put him on the back foot, like you butchered him is the word that came to mind when I was watching the fight.
Yeah, to be honest, I didn't think I kind of made him I had two big cuts against him. One underneath his eye, one over the top of it. And I hadn't seen him bleed in a fight before, so I kind of thought, oh, maybe like my elbows are going to do that like concussive force, but not so much that cutting damage. Um, but then in that second round, when that big one landed, I could smell the blood. Like I had the scent of it, and I was like, oh fuck yeah, that means he's cut, and that means things are going well. Look, he was a lot better in the wrestling than I thought. I thought I was going to have a much easier time against him against the fence, but he obviously prepared very well, did a lot of rounds there. Um, and then to be honest, I didn't feel very out of touch in the striking against him. That was kind of meant to be like, let's say his speciality. Like I think the majority of his finishes were coming via way of knockout, but I felt I did a good job at kind of interrupting his rhythm and constantly making things awkward for him. Never letting him get a roll on with his strikes. And I dare say that even on the feet, I did more damage to him than he was able to do to me. I, I'm pretty miffed about them giving that third round to him, which anyone that I've talked to that has watched the fight has thought that was insane. Um, I got one little cut from a headbutt from him, and I think that's why they scored it that way. But for the most part, like I walled him multiple times on the feet, so I was pretty stoked about it.
When we started talking about this fight, I asked you about the watching back the footage and watching the fight back. I know you kind of already answered it, but I'll kind of ask again. What has been the building from that fight? What have you learnt from that fight? Even though it was a win and it was a very good win over the number one guy in the tournament, what have you kind of learnt from your performance there? What are you taking into this next fight?
Um, that's a good question. Uh, I don't know. I think I definitely have a habit of underestimating myself in like fights, and I did think that he was going to have a bigger advantage in the striking over me than it actually felt like. Um, so I do think that maybe I should be using a little bit more striking in my fights. Maybe I should be cracking him on the feet a little bit more. Um, this next guy, for an example, I don't think he's dangerous on the feet. I think he's good. I think he's very skilled, but he doesn't look like he's trying to take your head off with shots. So I think I'll kind of get to play in all different ranges, striking, grappling, everywhere, and kind of like get the chance to dismantle this guy. And that's really what I want to take into the fight.
You talk about this next guy. You were fighting at Jae Hyun Park in the semifinals of the tournament. What do you make of Jae?
I think he's good, man. I think he's really good. I think he's highly skilled. Um, but I think he's a great stylistic matchup for me. In MMA, styles make fights, and I think his style is far easier for me to deal with than someone like Yuji. I think Yuji was very unorthodox. and very hard to predict what he's going to do next. Um, I don't think Jaquin Park offers the same problem. I think he's a little bit more predictable. But that being said, he still does have phenomenal skills. So like, and that's something I still got to be able to get through. But yeah, I think I'll do a better job at controlling the fight.
He faced off against an Aussie to win his fight. He faced off against Jack Becker. What did you make of his performance in that fight against Jack?
Yeah, I thought that was the best fight of Jaquin Park's life. Um, I thought it looked a little bit like maybe the nerves got to Jack, because he didn't do some of the things that he normally seems to do in fights. Um, and I think Jaquin Park was there to capitalize. And look, I do think if I went in less than usual, I think Jaquin Park would be absolutely skilled in all areas, able to capitalize. Um, but I don't think that's what's going to happen. I think he's too along for the ride in terms of like how he fights. Like he's a little bit like, look, wherever you take the fight, I'll just fight you there. And I don't think that's something that you can afford to do against me. I think if I take him down, I think I'm going to cut him to pieces. And I think that's going to be a bit of a rude awakening for him. I think that'll be the first time he's ever dealt with that. Whenever I watch a lot of these fights in the Asian region, like in Japan and in Korea, there seems to be a much smaller emphasis on things like ground and pound as well. I don't know if it's like a cultural thing, um, but there's not a whole lot of vicious ground and pound. So I'd love to introduce that to them, and give them a little taste. But I think that'll be a big difference maker in this fight.
The last time I saw you in person, not in an interviewing sense, you were down my way in Melbourne, and we were kind of chatting about the fight. And you told me there was like you found a video where you think he's trash talking you, but you can't really tell because you don't speak
Yeah,
Korean.
yeah, yeah. Well, I had a Korean friend of mine translate it. And yeah, it definitely seems that way. The Korean guy that I trained with perceived it as like, yeah, that's trash talk to me. That's for sure trash talk. So that was interesting. Um, but look, like I don't take anything bad about it. I think anyone who's in the lead up to fighting someone is going to try to talk about any of the flaws in their game, any of the holes in their game, and talk about them in a certain way, maybe to give them more confidence. I know that they thought that Yuji was going to win the fight. They said that in the video, and then they also said that they were already preparing for Yuji as a result, which is beyond crazy to me. To look past, essentially to look past Jack and to look past me. So I think I've got a bit of a mission to do here, and I got to give him a bit of a rude awakening.
Maybe is this the chip for this fight?
Yeah, yeah, maybe this guy not taking me seriously, as maybe my last opponent might have been guilty of. Um, yeah, I think I'm the most violent guy in that division. I think yeah, I'll absolutely fuck him up. It's gonna be awesome.
You kind of mentioned it there, but did you know anything else that he said about you in that video?
Um, to be honest, it's been so long since I've watched any of his stuff. I kind of did all of that at the beginning of the camp where I went on a bit of a deep dive. Um, first 4 weeks or so of the camp, but like, yeah, I'm kind of like learning about my opponent. After that point, it's the street Buddha show. It's all about what I can do. It's almost irrelevant what they can bring to the table at that point. I know when I rock up as good as I can. Um, I don't think there's many people that can stop that. So yeah, like I couldn't tell you what the rest of the stuff that they were saying in the video was. I no recollection, to be honest.
Where like last thing on this video, what was like where was it? Did you find it on YouTube? Like where
It
did this get posted?
it was Korean Zombies YouTube channel. So if you go have a look at that, yeah, I do remember that it was something something. They had said something 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 Don Marfan, and then they all started laughing. So I was like, you motherfuckers. Uh, yeah, but it's Korean Zombies YouTube channel. And the subtitles just come up as Korean subtitles, which is useless and not helpful. But yeah, you're welcome to go have a look and try to see if you can tell what they're saying.
The ever helpful speaks Korean subtitle. You're like, cool,
Yeah,
very cool.
yeah.
You mentioned there he is a guy who's fighting out of Korean Zombies gym. You know, he's Korea TKZ is doing he's doing that with like a lot of guys. A lot of guys coming through. Oh, he's TKZ's prospect, that type of thing. You are now you know, you've fought the highest levels regionally. You're now going out and fighting the highest levels around the world. But yeah, you're getting to a point where you're standing across from people who are like, "Damn, bro, TKZ's in his corner." Is that ever a thought you ever like think about that? Where you're like, "Damn, dude, we are actually on the world stage now."
Yeah, man. Well, I mean, I always do remember the fact that they can't jump in the cage and fight the fight for them. But like, man, I've had I remember in one of my early amateur fights, I had Alex Volkanovski cornering against me, and that was a crazy moment because I was like, oh my god, that's UFC champion. I remember kind of like looking at him like, oh my god, like while I'm punching his guy. Um, but I think that kind of like did teach me something. And like I've had teammates that have gone in there and they've fought guys from like big gyms like City Kickboxing and stuff, and then my teammates have done really well against them. And it's yeah, it's easy to look at all the stars from a gym and then kind of get your wires crossed a little and like feel as if you're fighting one of those guys, but you're not. You know, you're fighting the guy in front of you. Um, yeah, so I'm super confident.
Talking about that confidence, you mentioned earlier, like post fight against Yuji, you realized, oh, maybe maybe I gave a bit too much respect to him, or I gave a little bit, I not enough respect to myself, my own things. Uh, you went out there, you beat Yuji, who as I said, I didn't realize before the fight was kind of picked to be, oh, we think he's going to win. Um, do you steal his power? Are you now the number one guy in the tournament, Dom?
I'm the number one guy. I'm absolutely the number one guy in the tournament. I think anyone else would have done the math on that. I think anyone else would have gone through and they would have looked at least at the records of like all the people in the tournament, and they would have looked at that guy and go, oh, 11-0. Wow, that's pretty good. Especially it was 11-0, 9 finishes, 6 of which were in the first round. Like that guy had a legit good record. Um, so especially if they look at any photos of him after the fight, like I cut him up big time. His face was swollen shut the next day. Um, so I didn't just beat him. Like in this that second round, I 10-8'd him. You know, I put the hurt on him. So yeah, I absolutely reckon that should be getting anyone else's attention in the tournament.
Talking about being a number one guy in the tournament. You're breaking out. We're getting onto the world stage now. But I mentioned earlier, the last time I saw you, you were down in Melbourne. You were cornering some of your teammates. I've spoken to Tom Nolan's talked before about when he was on the come up, he looked up to Stewie Nickel. And then I think you and I have talked before about Tom's in the UFC, Stewie's in the UFC. They can kind of give you that a little bit of like, oh, they've walked the path. I kind of know what to expect. But from my perspective, as you get better and you grow, it feels like you're becoming a little bit of that guy in the gym. They're sending you to corner guys interstate. We'll send Dom. Dom knows how to handle this. Do you feel, I'm going to use the phrase bit of a gym leader. Do you feel you're kind of coming into that role?
uh, in many ways, yeah, I guess for sure. Like it's cool being able to drop some knowledge to some of the amateurs sometimes. That can be like really cool. Um, that is a lot of fun, and it is kind of like an interesting feeling because I do remember like it feeling not long ago at all that I was having my first fights. So yeah, it's cool to be able to like help some guys out with some knowledge. But then at the same time, I'm probably like the most immature guy in the gym. So you know, there's 20-year-olds there with more maturity than me. So I think if you ask Steve or Elliot Compton, they tell you the same.
Do you enjoy that? Do you enjoy the cornering?
Yeah, I love it. I think it's awesome. It definitely also uh makes me at least as nervous as when I'm about to fight. It's a scary feeling being in the corner because it's like you get all the nerves because you want the person to win just as bad as you want to win, but there's less you can do to control it, you know. But it is a lot of fun. There is no better seat to watch my teammates tear shit up than like right cage side. It's such an amazing feeling for sure.
Talking about a teammate of yours, I mistakenly, when I interviewed Blair Bratag, I watched a YouTube video of his where he was teaching someone how to wrestle, and I was like, "Oh, Blair's taking care of the wrestling at Compton's," and I referred to him as that, and he was like, "That's Don Marfan's place of expertise." I hadn't realized you're the wrestling coach out of Compton's.
For the most part, yes, the wrestling, yeah. Like Stevo like handles the jujitsu, and I do a fair bit of the wrestling. I was pretty fortunate. I came from I came to Compton's with like a little bit of wrestling knowledge because of my wrestling coach, who's from the US, Eric Simmons, who was like a D1 wrestler, and it meant that I had like a whole bunch of real specific skills that like kind of I was able to like kind of show some of the guys some stuff, and then they were showing me all this stuff to do with like how to time my takedowns. I was showing them a little bit more like chain wrestling and how like my approach to it was. I definitely wouldn't say like I handle all the wrestling. I think it's a real like team sharing knowledge type of environment at Team Compton. Um, we all help each other. Um, but yeah, in terms of like when it comes to corner duties, usually the boys have me in the corner for the wrestling.
You mentioned it there. It comes from being taught from a D1 wrestler. But what is that connection? Was that something you did when you were like younger as a kid? Did you grow up wrestling?
No, like my last MMA gym that I came from, there happened to be like my former wrestling coach Eric Simmons was in Australia like for work, and he ended up like teaching me while I was at that gym. Um, and I kind of realized pretty early on when learning from him, which has been something that like I feel like I do pretty well in my career. Is I realized early on that that was a pretty crucial skill. His like American folk style wrestling that he had, and all these rides, all the wrist controls, all the way to like lace the legs to accomplish different things. I straight away picked up. I was like, oh man, like almost no one on the Australian scene is doing this. So I kind of realized it was going to be a golden skill. Um, and yeah, and then like so I was able to take that like by the time I moved to Compton's, like I was able to take those skills and kind of like help the other guys with some of those skills. And like I said, in return, then they showed me how to like time takedowns, which was again like when I started learning from Steve on like his understanding of how to time takedowns and how to enter. I again went like, wow, this is going to be one of those crucial, essential skills that it doesn't look like a whole lot of people in the world are doing really well. There's a lot of people doing it, but there's not a lot of people doing it really, really well. And that's something I really strive to do.
In the prowess of grappling, there is obviously you're there for the wrestling. You bring a knowledge and the team comes together. But talking about BJJ, I saw recently you were awarded your BJJ black belt.
I was, yes.
Congratulations on that. I
Thanks,
don't know
bro.
what question there is around it, but like, tell me about how was it to get your black belt?
Yeah, it was cool, man. I actually have it right here, funnily enough. So that's cool. Look, I think to me, I like when I'm coaching, I always think it's silly when people get too fixated on like they want to know when they're going to get their next belt. And I kind of practice what I preach on that because I think at the end of the day, skills are far more important than any material item that you can get that represents those skills. Um, it's not like I got my BJJ black belt and got some new superpowers, like immediately unlocked a bunch of different crazy submissions. Um, but it is definitely like a little bit of a nice blue tick to get, like kind of like the coach's approval, say that like yeah, like you were very good at jiu-jitsu.
Dom fan by what is it called? Calf slicer for the next fight.
Yeah, by Imanari roll straight to calf slicer, straight to backflip celebration.
No new colors got unlocked. You didn't start seeing like it wasn't like new tastes
Yeah,
once you got
yeah,
bestowed the black belt.
yeah. No, no, unfortunately not. No, I didn't. I didn't immediately download any new skills.
Damn. What was the at Compton's? What is the promotion process like? Do you actually get graded, or do you just get it, or like do they all whip you with the belt?
So to be honest, usually at Compton's we're pretty slack with gradings. I think it's like 5 years since we did our last one. Um, I think, and more than anything, I think it's just the boys are pretty disorganized. But no, we don't do any whippings at Compton's. Um, but yeah, we just had like a little bit of like a seminar day where we all the people that ended up getting their black belts were like doing like a little bit of like teaching on different topics of their choosing.
When was the last time you wore the gi slash what are your thoughts on the gi?
Oh man, I reckon it'd have to be at least a few years ago since I put a gi on. I was thinking about that. The grading was a no gi grading, but I was like, man, I'm gonna have to like blow the dust off of my gi from like the cupboard, and maybe pre-wash it again, like because it's so covered in dust. Um, Look, I don't think uh training in the gi is all that productive for MMA. I think there's so many skills to learn. I'm constantly in this state of like, man, I wish there were like 9 days in the week because I'm trying to jam more stuff in my schedule all the time. Um, and I think if I tried to fit gi in, I might just explode because I'm already doing early camp and out of camp 3 to 5 sessions per day. Right at the end of camp, 3 or 2 per day, and I don't know how I would fit any more in, you know?
5 sessions is barbaric.
Yeah, well, if I'm out of camp, I can go super light and super technical, you know? So it's not like we're like killing each other in the sessions. It's like I'm just on the mat, I'm trying different things. Maybe I'm grabbing someone, we're just like playing around for an hour. But yeah, like when I'm doing 5 sessions, I got to be very, very tactical about that. If this the second I let my ego get the better of me and I start like trying to go too hard in rolls, I end up getting sick from doing five for
Is
sure.
five like, I don't mean to get hung up on the five thing, but like, is that like you'll do back to backs or are you like taking breaks between each? Like, how do you even fit in five in a day?
So let's say on a Monday, I might go 10 a.m. session, and then I might go wrestling drilling, and then I might go a bag session, and there'll be breaks in between those, and then I'll have 2 nighttime classes. Um, yeah, and that's not like super regular that I'm always like doing. It's not like it's like 5 sessions a day every day for the week. It's like 3 to 5 throughout the week. So it might be 5 sessions one day, it might be three on the next, it might be four on the next, and then it might be five again, or it might be three. Um, but that'll also be dependent on how much stuff I've been studying as of late. So if I've gone down a rabbit hole of like learning instructionals, sometimes I just want to get reps on reps. Like let's say I've just watched a Danaher instructional on front headlock. I just want to be grabbing people's neck all day long, and I want to constantly be checking in with different ideas that I've got, different approaches that I have, and kind of reaffirming my knowledge.
We spoke before your last fight. Dom, I thank you so much for the time. This is the last one for me. I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to me, especially on a weekend. Uh, we spoke the last time before you went to China, and you were saying you're going to go over there, obviously take care of business like you did, but you got some extra time and you kind of explored a little bit. How was China?
It was fun, man. It was really, really cool. Yeah, I got to experience all different parts of China. I loved being able to eat the food and the prices being really cheap. I think I got like a beef noodle soup, 2 plates of dumplings, like big plates of dumplings, and it was like $4. I was like stoked, man. I was like, this is so good. Oh, I would get so fat in China. There's no there, there would be heavyweight Don Marfan for sure.
Oh, he's gone. No, dude. Minor technical difficulty there. Sorry, you were saying you enjoyed the food a lot in China and you would be a heavyweight if you lived there.
Yeah, I would be an absolute fatty man. Especially there's like always haggling is available everywhere. Um, which is great. So it means that the already cheap prices I can get even lower, which the Asian in me very much likes. Um, it's funny, man. My my dad, who's Chinese, he'll absolutely he still tries to like haggle people for prices in Australia. Even though he's lived here most of his life, he just like he loves doing it. And I got to kind of experience that and have a lot of fun with it while over in China.
Nothing wrong with trying to get the best price for something.
Yeah. Well, like I'm haggling over nothing. Like essentially I'm haggling down from $5 to $4. And it's so not worth it. I'm spending half an hour to try to do so to save a dollar. But it's more like a competitive game, trying to see who can win, or me or like the old Asian lady that's sat in front of me.
And who always comes out on top?
Always a street footer, you know. I've shown them the odds, you know. I showed them the odds. This is what people thought I would never win, and I'm here to defy the odds.
Define the odds of the streets of China, define the odds in the cage. Although I would be after the performance you put on, I would be surprised if you were the underdog again. But I'm fine with people making that mistake. I don't care.
Yeah,
Have
yeah. Well,
people lose money.
yeah, there were a lot of happy people. My sponsors, Karina Leagues Club, hosted like a watch party, and I think I don't know 40, 50 people rocked up, um, which was cool because it was at midnight, so I was pretty stoked that that many people rocked up. But pretty much all of them had put bets on me. Um, so like they're all going crazy the whole time. All their drinks are essentially free for the night because I ended up winning. So it's pretty cool. Yeah, I hope they keep making me the underdog.
Dude, I'll take Don Marfan at positive money any day of the week.
Yeah.
We talked there, you got that chance to hang out in China. Will you be doing that again, or is it to work, go over there, work, and then come home? Or are you hanging out again?
Uh, I will come back earlier, mostly just because like I spent the time over there with my missus, but she didn't like China anywhere near as much as I did. She ended up getting food poisoning. I got that iron Asian stomach, but she does not. So we're only going over for a few days after the fight. And we already kind of explored like a lot of Shanghai, so less exploring to do, but I'll still take a little bit of time off after the fight just to relax.
Is there, will it be, do you think you'll do more exploring, or are you just going to go back to stuff you saw last time?
So, I'm kind of a creature of habit, so that's kind of what I'm more inclined to do. But I think my girlfriend wants us to go to like Disneyland and stuff, so we'll probably end up doing what she wants instead.
I was going to say, I think there's a Shanghai Disneyland. What do you,
Yeah.
come on, surely go to Disneyland.
Yeah, it'd be cool. It'd be cool. I'm not a huge fan of big crowds of people. That's the only thing. I get very frustrated easily, but I think I'll be in such a high after I've just beaten the crap out of this Korean guy, that I think the crowds won't bother me so much.
Last one from me, Dom. I really appreciate the time. You mentioned there your intention to beat the crap out of this man. You say people should bet on you. What is the prediction? How do you see this one going?
I see myself finishing him in two, within two.
There we go. The official prediction. Dom, I thank you so much for the time. What does between now and fight night look like for you?
So I got probably about a week left of like hard training, and then I'm flying over as of next Friday, over to Shanghai, and then I'll just do a little bit of light training, a little bit of deloading, um, just keeping my eye in, just enough to keep my eye in, and I'm looking forward to having the meals that the UFC PI make for us. Usually, I'm kind of dreading fight week because the food is so shit, but now I'm definitely looking forward to having it again. So it was very nice.
Dom, best of luck in the fight. Safe travels there. Safe travels home. I thank you so much for the time.
Awesome. Thank you for having me, brother.